Okay, so Bezras Hashem, we are going to be learning Torah Pei Beis and Likkutei Moharan Chelek Aleph. I'm sorry, Chelek Beis. I said Chelek Aleph like 5 times. Chelek Beis, Torah Pei Beis. And it's a Torah that's very much mukusher to the parsha that we're in, Ki Teitzi LeMilchama. So it's not always that you have a Torah from Rabbeinu that's mukusher explicitly to the parsha that we're in, but if we have that, then we have to look at it and we're going to see how it's shaykh to everything that we've been learning in the previous Torahs as well. So Zok the Heilige Rebbe. Siv, Pasuk says, Achor v'kedem tzartani. That you have formed me, says David HaMelech, from the back to the front and from the front to the back. Backwards and forwards you have formed me. Backwards and forwards. Ze bechinas keseder u'shalo keseder. When David HaMelech acknowledges to the Rabbanu Shleilim that Hashem, you have formed me backwards and forwards, the implication is that there are two stages in which a person experiences reality and experiences everything, which is in order and out of order. Things operating in the normal process, 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and things that are out of order, backwards from 4 to 3 to 2 to 1. Kedem, what does it mean that I have formed you forward? Hu bechinas keseder, it's the element of things moving along the natural developmental stages that they go in accordance to. Bechinas aleph beis keseder, the element of the aleph beis gimel dalet hey vav, going from the aleph to the taf, the way that we typically orient ourselves, the basic building blocks functioning normally. The achor.
Did you say pay base?
I'm sorry.
Did you say pay base?
Torah pay beis in Likkutei Moharan Tinyana.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah, I made the mistake. You can say, well, we said last week also, there's two chalakim in Likkutei Moharan. There's the Reish Pei Beis and the secret of Ayeh. There's also Keseder Shelo Keseder. Chelek Aleph will be Keseder, where a person is moving from smallness into greatness. And like we said, Chelek Beis is going to be Shelo Keseder, where you start off with the strength, where you start off with being told that you're Lamalam and a Malach. So we're in Chelek Beis. And so when it says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu formed me forwards, that's the element of keseder, where I develop in accordance with the typical order of things. Bechinas aleph beis keseder. The achor, but being formed backwards, hu bechinas tashrak. This is the element of the aleph beis going backwards. Taf shin reish kuf tzadi pei ayin samach nun men lamed v'chulei. As we find in Tfilas Musaf on Shabbos, where the paragraph of Techanta Shabbos, Ritzis to Korbanoseh, is rooted in the backwards Aleph base. So it's not the Or Yashar of the Aleph to the base to the Gimel, but rather it's the Or Choser that we spoke about in Torah Ayin Vav, from the Tuf to the Shin to the Reish to the Kuf, moving backwards out of order, the derech of Shelo Keseder. So things operate orderly and disorderly, backwards and forwards. And these two elements of the individual's life are also reflected in Zebechinas Adam v'Chava. This is also the masculine and the feminine. And again, we're talking about the masculine and the feminine capacity within each and every individual. Because Achor v'Kedem Sartani is talking about one individual. Seder and Shaloka Seder is talking about two stages within one individual mind. And so too, each and every person, each and every thing in existence is composed of masculine and feminine, expression and reception, Ma and Ben, light and Kli. And therefore, these elements of Keseder, things moving the right way, is going to be the element of Adam, which is expressive from above to below, and that's the element of Kedem. And Chava is going to be the element of Achor, and it's going to be the element of backwards, forward, backwards, back up to the top. This is the element of Adam and Chava, Keseder u'shelo Keseder. The fact that we operate within ourselves very often with two stages of functioning which are really at battle with one another. One is the typical order of functioning, and one is the natural tendency towards dysfunction. Havaya b'miloi alfin gematria ma adam v'chava u'bechinas malchus peh v'torah shebal peh karinala. And so what Rabbeinu is doing here is he's giving us all of these synonyms, these pairs, these binaries, which all line up, right? You have seder and lo keseder. Kedem and Achor. Kedem is Seder, where things are moving like Adam Rishon from the top to the bottom. And then you have Achor, which is going to be the secret of Tashrak, where things are moving from the bottom up to the top, and that's going to be the element of Chava. So we have Kedem, Seder, Adam, and we have Achor, Lo Keseder, Chava. And now Rabbeinu is going to bring us into a different language that describes this binary, and that's going to be the secret of Tiferes and Malchus, Kutcha Brichu Vishninte, the expression of Shem Havaya and the reception of the Shem Havaya in the secret of Malchus. The Shem Havaya, the expression of Shem Havaya when it's spelled out, Yud Vav Dalid, Hey Aleph, Vav Aleph Vav, Hey Aleph, which is the essential name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that we have access to as human beings who are engaged in Avodah, so that's referred to as the Shem of Ma, because the gematria of that Shem, when it's spelled out with Alephs, is the gematria of 45, which is the same gematria as Adam. So that Shem Havaya represents Adam, it represents the Panim, it represents Kedem, it represents Aleph to Taf. Havaya b'miloy alfin, says Rabbi Nachman. The Shem Havaya, when it's spelled out fully with the Aleph, is the gematria of Ma. That's the gematria of Adam. That's the aspect of Keseder. That's the aspect of Kedem. And then you have Chava. And what's Chava? Chava is actually, when you look at this name, if you take the Shem Havaya away from it, and all you have is the filling letters, so you don't have the Yud, but you have the Vav Daled that spells out the Yud. You don't have the Hey, but you have the Aleph that's in addition to the Hey. You don't have the Vav, but you have the Aleph and the Vav that spell out the Vav. And you don't have the Hey, but you have the Aleph, what the Miloi of the name spells out. It's the Gematria of Chava. So you have Adam and Chava together, Seder and Shaloka Seder together. Chava is the aspect of Malchus Peh. It's the reception. It's the Kli that receives that which is coming from above, which is the secret of Torah Shbal Peh Karinan Lei. That's the secret of the Nekeva. That's the secret of Shalo Keseder. Shas is totally Mubulbal. It's Lo Keseder. Torah Shebechsav is Keseder. Torah Shebechsav is masculine. Torah Shebal Peh is feminine, etc., etc. Chava, what is the nature of Chava? What is Chava? What is Malchus? Like we spoke about in the previous year, in Torah Yud Beis. Chava is a language of Dibor. Malchus is Dibor, the thought, the inspiration. That's all masculine. That's all what I want to give over. That's what I want to share with the world. Malchus is the way that a person actually shares something, actually applies limit to something, and that's the expression of speech. Kamosha Kasav, like the pasuk says, "V'layla l'layla yechavadas," that one night will speak to the other night in order to try and understand wisdom. And so we see Yechave is also a language of Dibor, of speaking. And Rabbi Nachman makes this clear in Torah Yud Tes as well. Al Shem ki ein melech below am. Why is there Malchus? Why do we need Chava? Why do we need the Shalo Keseder? Why do we need Torah Shebal Peh? Why do we need that secondary receiving valve that conceals the light? Because there's no melech without there's no melech without an am. There's no melech without an am. A melech, in order for the melech to reveal himself, in order for the Shem Havaya to reveal itself, it needs to have a receptacle that can convey its commands or its desires to things or creatures that are capable of receiving it. And therefore, the king has to have a mouthpiece. The king, without the king's speech, there's no kingship. The king's speech is, in truth, what conveys the secret of Malchus in its shoresh, the ability of the king to offer the Asar Ma'amaros and the Asar Sadibros. And so we need the Malchus of the Peh, which is the Kli that reveals that light, in order to enable the nation to receive that which is being offered it. Ve'ein ha'am yodim ritzono ela imkein kisham melech megalim machshavto v'ritzono l'toch diburo. And very simply, the nation has no ability, reality doesn't have the ability to receive the desire, the influx of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's infinite light, if not for the capacity of HaKadosh Baruch Hu being Metzam Semet into Dibor. Nimtza, she'ikr hanhagas malchuso eina ela al yedei Dibor. That the main way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu reveals his Malchus is through speech. And this is the meaning, Zeh Perush Malchus Peh, that Malchus is the mouth. Everybody with me so far on the lineup? Okay, so let's go weiter. V'zesha anuroim. This is what we see in our world. Shelapa'amim hoylech la'adam shelo keseder. There are going to be times in a person's life where things are out of order, where things are no longer functioning in a clear way. I don't see the beginning leading to the next stage, leading to the final stage, but rather everything is mixed up and muddled up. Ki shleimus shel kol hadvarim. Because the fulfillment of all things, the fullness available to each person and everything in this world, eino ella keshehem miyuchadim umekusharim bo yisbarach. The only way to partake fully of anything, a thought, a desire, an emotion, an experience, an object, a subject, anything, is when it's connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If it's miyuchad and mekusher to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that is the answer to all things. Ki hashlemus v'hamiloi hu achayus. What does it mean, fullness? What is the filling, the fulfillment of things, something being filled? What does it mean? It means that it has vitality. It means that it has air of spirituality that gives shape to it. Because if you have a limb that loses its vitality, it's referred to as something that is deficient. So the opposite of deficiency is when something is whole and when something is filled. What is the chayas? What does it mean when something is full? Something is full when it's connected to Hashem. How is something connected to Hashem? Through the chayas. What is the chayas? Chayas is the moichin and the seichel. My mindful awareness of how this thing is connected to Hashem and how it helps me connect to Hashem, whether it's a mitzvah or an action or whatever it is. Like the pasuk says, "V'hachachma tichya es ba'ala." The chachma is what gives koach to mitzias. As Rabbeinu points out in the first Torah in the Likkutei Moharan, Ki isha Yisraelit tzarich tamid l'stakel ba'seichel shel kol davar, l'kasher atzmo la'chachma, to the Nukud of Chachma, and in that way we elevate all of the Bria back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and Mechaber all of the Pirud back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the Chayas. It comes from Chachma, the Shoresh of Bittul. Why do we know that the Shoresh of Chayus and Chayim, HaChachma Tichias Ba'ala, Yamosu V'lo B'Chachma? Chachma is Chayim. Without Chachma, there's no vitality to anything. How do we know? Because Chachma is in truth the language of Ma. Mahus, the essence of something, but it's the essence of something that is not visible. It's not the external casing of the thing. It's the inner vitality of the thing. So it causes a person to say ma. I don't know what it is, but nevertheless, ma also means mahus. It means the essence of something. Koach ma. Chachma is the osios of koach ma in the sense that it represents the vitality that HaKadosh Baruch Hu allows to sustain all of existence, in spite of the fact that that vitality takes place underneath the surface. We don't see it explicitly. When we look externally, we see the particularity and the different shapes of things. But in the Shoresh HaChachma Tichias Bala, the secret of Chayus in this world is Chachma, the Koyach of Ma, the potential towards what? The potential towards something. Ma Chayenu, Ma Koychenu. This Ma that we're going to be talking about so much in the Yom Noraim means it represents bittul, it represents what is my life in the end of the day, what is my strength in the end of the day. Not because I've realized I'm weak or because I'm bad, but because I realize that I'm nothing but the expression of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the secret of the Chayas, that's the secret of the Miloi, that's the secret of the Moichin. That's the secret of ensuring that we draw down the vitality and the connectivity of each and everything with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And again, Rabbi Nachman is describing this in the context of the fact that there's times in life that go shaloka seder, when things go the opposite direction. So let's see what Rabbeinu says. Umahu ha'adam, mahu adam. When we attach ourselves to the secret of ma, when we attach ourselves to the secret of chachma, when we attach ourselves to the chayus, when we attach ourselves to the hiskashrus and the yichud to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when we attach ourselves to the light of Keseder, when we attach ourselves to the light of Adam Arishon, when we attach ourselves to the light of Kedem, what we're doing is we're accessing the awareness of Bittul. We're becoming aware of the fact that everything is flowing from above to below, and my thoughts, my emotions, my speech, my action, my experiences are all coming from on high, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is whispering them into me. That's the secret of what it means to be a ben Adam. Mahu Adam. Ma, the shem Ma is gematria Adam. Kiles Adam below Aleph. Because as the Hakdama to the Tikkunei Zohar says, you cannot have the nature of an Adam without the letter Aleph, which is the secret of the Shem Havaya b'miloi Alfin. The Shem Havaya that spells out 45 is spelled out with Alephs, contrary to other Shems which are spelled out with a Yud or the letter itself. But so we see that there's a hyper-essential quality of the Aleph, which again represents the ability to connect above and below in the secret of tshuva, as Rabbi Nachman describes in the sixth teaching. But there's something deeply associated with Aleph and the secret of being an Adam. Because what an Adam is Aleph Dam. We're like an animal, but at the same point, we have the ability to connect the Aleph to the Dam to create that connection and that yichud and that kesher. So let's see what Rabbi Nachman wants. Sumahu Adam. Ma is the secret of Adam, because you can't spell Adam without Aleph, meaning to say, Hainu Havaya b'miloi Alfin. Adam and the Havaya b'miloi Alfin, Havaya that's spelled out with the Miloi of Aleph, Yud Vav Daled, Hey can be spelled out Hey Hey, Hey Yud, or Hey Aleph. So in the Miloi of Alfin, it's spelled out Hey Aleph. Same is true with Vav. Vav could be spelled out Vav Yud Vav, Vav could be spelled out Vav Vav, but in the Shem Havaya of Alfin, it's spelled out Vav Aleph Vav. And so too with the last Hey, where it's Hey Aleph. The fact that we're adding Aleph to each one brings us to the gematria of Ma, which is the gematria of Adam. What does that mean, though? Hainu HaKadosh Baruch Hu Chayes Shel Kol HaDvarim. Everything that we just said. Now let's bring it back to all the metaphors. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the light and the vitality of all things. But we just saw that Chachma is the light and the vitality of all things. Elama, the Balatanya says, Mufurash, in the name of the Rambam as well as the Arizal, that there is no Hashra'as Elokus. There is no Gilui of HaKadosh Baruch Hu down here below, except by way of the Chachma of Adam Kadmon, which leads to the secret of the Chachma of the individual, which is Bittul B'tachlis. Chachma is Bittul. L'stakel ba'aseichel shel kol davar is to be mevatel myself, to become the kli through which the chama can be megala itself, through which chacha can be megala itself, which creates chen, and then it creates nachas. So chachma is really the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the highest of all things. He's the vitality of all things. He's the keseder. He's things working in order. He's the secret of the Shem Havaya of Ma. It means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is shining his light down. Pasuk says explicitly, you, Hashem, not Chachma, not Seichel, not Moichin, not Kedem, not Aleph Beis Keseder. None of those things are the fullness of all things. The true fullness of all things is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What about all of the other terms and conditions we just said? Chachma is the way that we access HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When a Yid is mevatel themselves betachlis, they allow their minds to become the resting place where HaKadosh Baruch Hu could be megala himself. That's the koyach of Chachma. Nimtza, so it turns out, Zos HaBechina Malchus, this element of Malchus, which is Torah Shebal Peh, which is Dibur, which is Shalo Keseder, which is Chava, which is Nekeva. This element of Chava, Shehi Mekusheres LaAdam, which is inherently attached to Adam, because the Seder and the Lo Keseder, the Zachar and the Nekeva, the Aleph base forward and the Tav Shin Reish Kuf backwards. Chachma and Malchus, they're fundamentally connected to each other. But it turns out that this element of Malchus, which is Chava, which is Torah Shebal Peh, Kishehi Mekusheres LaAdam, when Chava is Mekusher to Adam, when Shalo Keseder is Mekusher to Seder, when Achor is connected to Kedem, when Malchus is connected to Malchus, to Chachma, when Metzias is connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when it's connected to the Bechina of Ma, when it's connected to the aspect of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Az yesh lo shleimus. That's where there's shleimus, when there's a chibur between above and below, between the two levels. But again, it's that there's still two levels. There's a ma and there's a ben, and there's a zachar and there's a nekeva. There's a seder and a loka seder. There's Torah shebachsav and Torah shebal peh. There's achor and there's kedem. Both continue to exist, except they're unified together, so that which appears to be Shaloka Seder is really revealed to also be part and parcel of the Seder. That which is revealed to be Malchus is also revealed to be inherently connected to Chachma. That which appears to be the concealment of the feminine is revealed to be inherently connected to the expressivity of the masculine. Ki haseichel sha'akadosh Baruch Hu sam behanhagas malchuso bazehu machayoso. This goes back to Torah Aleph. When I uncover the seichel that HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kavyachal has used in order to develop, so to speak, the hanhaga, the modes of governance, through which he will reveal himself in this worldliness and the secret of Malchus, Bazehu machaya also, the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu is machaya the Welt is through his hashkacha. When I become aware of the seichel shebachol davar, and I attach myself to the chachma, I'm attaching myself to the Ratzon of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that's giving life and vitality to that thing at that moment. Kamosha Kosov, like the Pasuk says, HaChachma tichya. Chachma is the thing that gives life. Because it's the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because we're not talking about wisdom. Chachma over here is bittul, emptying out of the mind. Ma. Chazal, Chachmenu Zachron L'Bracha, is also Gematria Ma. Chazal is Ma. Because the whole edifice of wisdom and Torah Shebal Peh is about drawing down the light of Ma and Chachma into it. And this is the secret, V'zeu Hashem ha'aretz u'melo, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has the aretz also. What's the aretz? The aretz is Shalo Keseder, the aretz is Malchus, Torah Shebal Peh, that which appears backwards, that which appears devoid of Chayos. But the aretz itself is Malei Kvodo, meaning the milui of the Shem Havaya of Alfin, which is the gematria of Chava, that's what enables us to connect ourselves to the Aretz. Kisha meaning when the Aretz, which is the aspect of Chava and Malchus, Mikusheres la Hashem, is connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Azayi b'meloa u'b'shleimus. Then she's in her fullness and her state of completion. Chav, are you with me? Let's go weiter in the Torah. That's when everything is unified. That's when we're able to look at our lives and see the parts of our lives that are Shelo Keseder, and we can attach them to the secret of Keseder, the fact that really everything is okay, which enables me to look at the things that don't seem okay and to say these are also okay because they work at the service of Keseder. That's when there's a yichud. That's where I'm mevata myself to the chachma shebechol davar. That's when I allow myself to become the nun, to be malchus that allows chachma to shine through me, rather than trying to force Malchus to serve my needs, as Torah Aleph reveals. And then that's how I'm Megala the Nachas. But Misha Machalik Bechinas Chava Malchus La'atzmo. What happens when I cut away the connection between expression and receptivity? What happens when I separate between the masculine expression of the Shem Ma and the feminine receptivity of the Shem Ben? What happens if I just take Malchus on my own, without any connection to that which is above, without Chachma? Sha'omer ana emloch, when I say that I'm going to be king, I'm the ruler, I'm God. And each person, we said, the Kamarna Rebbe writes in Kesem Oifir on Megillah Esther, that there's really not a single person, Kimat, not a single person who's not over the Isser of making themselves into a God like Paro. The moment we take power into our own hands and try and take Malchus on her own without the vitality of Chachma, Shetichias Bala, that infinite light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that's descending down into our mind at every moment, and the ability to connect ourselves to that Chachma Shebechol Davar, then I become a Shtik Avodah Zarah, then it's Ana Emloch. When I only take Malchus and I get stuck in the place of Ana Emloch, Bazehu Machalik Umafrid Osa Me HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I am thereby separating that thing from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm separating myself from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I've separated myself, Kaviyachol, from the Chachma, from the Bittul, from the secret of Keseder. As I eno b'shleimus, then I'm no longer in a state of shleimus. I'm in a state of chisaron. I'm in a state of privation, of lack, of deficiency, of craving. The real vitality of this world, of malchus, of the encasings of shelo keseder and the backwards nature of all things, the only thing that actually gives koach to it is the secret of ma, is the secret of chachma, is the secret of bittul, hainu hasechel, the mind in which HaKadosh Baruch Hu reveals himself to us. V'zeh, and this is Perish in the pasuk, Ki b'chol chachmei hagoyim u'b'chol malchusam me'ein kamocha. That in terms of all of the wisdom of the nations of the world, and all of the kingships and the power of all of the nations of the world, who is like you? We say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Perish, meaning to say, Sichlam ein kol kach gadol lahachyois es malchusam. No other king has a seichel, a chachma, a light strong enough to give vitality and life to its malchus. There can't be, that's why when you have someone who's claiming to have a real grasp of yichud, but they can't function in a state of pirud, they can't function when doing a normal human thing, so that's a clear sign that they're not carrying a yichud that is necessarily positive in this world. The true sign of real yichud is a person who's able to be mis'ariv abrios, is a person who's able to function as a human being. Because Chachma, when Chachma is really there, it's revealed within Malchus. But the nations of the world, they don't have such a strong Chachma. Mamela, they can't reveal their Chachma in Malchus. Who has the ability? Azai keshehu machalik es Malchus la'atzmo. And when a person separates the Malchus and keeps it for themselves, instead of being mevatel it back up to its source, Azai holach lo shelo keseder, when I'm not connecting the lower expressions of my life, the shelo keseder, the element of the feminine principles in my life, the points of concealment, if I'm not ensuring that it is connected to the chachma shebechol davar at each and every moment, then memela, I'm living a life of shelo keseder. Malchus is shelo keseder. The world is shelo keseder. That's the nature of the world. The only way to connect to the world of lo keseder, to seder, is if I'm mavata myself and I attach myself to the chachma shebechol davar, which is the illumination of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's light in my mind, down here. But without that, then Malchus is taken on her own, and it functions in a state of shelo keseder when the day is going wrong, a no good, very bad, horrible day. Because I'm functioning now in Malchus alone, without the vitality of Malchus. I'm functioning in accordance with the externalities of things, not in accordance to the typical orientation. I knew Malchus, I'm stuck in Malchus, I'm stuck in Chava, I'm stuck in Tashrak of Tav Shin Reish Kuf, climbing my way back up from all of the levels of concealment that I've fallen into to hopefully maybe make my way back up to light. That's when I lose sight of the Chachma. Ukeshezos habachina Chava, he mikusheres laha'adam. But when I attach myself to this principle of receptivity, I draw the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu down into the basic elements of my life that appear to be devoid of content and appear to be devoid of order. When I attach that element of Chava in my life to the Adam, meaning to say I attach my life of Shalo Kaseder, which is Malchus, and I attach it to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Az I holech lo kaseder. I transform all of that disorderliness into orderliness. Why? Because when I attach myself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, yesh inyan sheyitapecha kol l'tova. It doesn't even mean that the things turn out to be orderly externally. In my mind, they're now orderly because I've connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and I have das. Azay holech lo kaseder. Things now continue to move in accordance with the way they should go. Ki be'eser de'izdachar, as the Zohar Kadosh says, in the place that has the masculine principle, in the place that has the Shem Havaya of Ma, in the place that has the light of Keseder, in the place that has the light of Chachma, in the place that has the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Nukva loy idcher teiman, the out of orderness of the feminine principle of concealment and Chava and Tashrak is not reflected on as something that has its own identity there, because the working identity is the bittul of Chachma. Nimtza, it turns out, kibechinos Chava shalo keseder, nisbatul nayedei ha'adam keseder. That when a person in their lives finds that they're operating in a place of out of order, where things are topsy-turvy or mixed up or kind of all over the place, that means that I've attached the Chava element of my life, the Bechina of Tashrak, the backwards nature of my functioning, and attach it to the direct line of connection that I have with HaKadosh Baruch Hu available to me at that moment. Bechinas Keseder, what is this element of Keseder? What does it mean to function Keseder? What does it mean when I have the light of Chachma expressing itself in Malchus? What does it mean when I can live with Bittul? Because again, we said it's not just living only in Bittul. The Dachar alone, the Ma alone, without the Nekeva, is Nishta Zach. We don't have access to it. It's a different problem. But it's still a problem, so we need both. And so what does it mean to draw the Yud, to draw the Chachma Shebechol Davar into the actual Lamaisa Avoida of Malchus? What does it mean? Bechinas Keseder Nikra Yud. When things are functioning properly, it's referred to as the Os Yud. The Os Yud represents Chachma. The Os Yud represents things going well. The Os Yud represents expressivity. Shem Malchus, because Malchus, the element of the feminine, the element of Tashrak, of Shalo Keseder, Hanikra Dalis, that's referred to as a Dalid in the secret of impoverishment, the Leis Limagar Meklum, that it has nothing of her own, and it's impoverishment. So Keseder is Yud, the masculine is Yud, it's the tiny dot that's given over. And the emptiness that has the capacity to now be a vessel that creates formation to that potential of the Yud is referred to as the Malchus. HaKadosh Baruch Hu mamshech l'chayas ha'chochma. What HaKadosh Baruch Hu does is he draws the chayas, the vitality of Chachma shebechol davar, into kol davar, which is the secret of Malchus, thereby illuminating the external world of Malchus, which is empty on its own, with an inner content and meaning that every Yid has the responsibility to attach themselves to at every single moment in order to connect the Seder and the Lo Keseder, the Yud with the Dalid. HaKadosh Baruch Hu mamshech l'chayas ha'chachma. HaKadosh Baruch Hu draws the vitality of Chachma in, and that's referred to as a Yud. V'zeh Yud Vav Dalet. When we look at the letter Yud, when we look at the word Yud, so you can spell Yud out, Yud Vav Dalet, which is Miloi, or you could spell it out, Miloi de Miloi, the fullness of the fullness. Meaning, so the fullness of, there's Yud, and then there's the fullness of the Yud, which is Yud Vav Dalid. And then there's the fullness of the fullness, where each and every letter also gets extended into its own fullness. So you have Yud Vav Dalid, which is the Yud. Then there's also a Vav, so that will be Vav, Vav. And then the Dalid of the Yud is going to be Dalid Lamed Tav. So you have the fullness of that Yud, that Chachma that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is expressing downwards. And when that connects itself to Malchus, then you have the Chachma Tichias Bala. Then we can connect ourselves and uncover the Chain. And this is the element Zehu Achor V'Kedem Sartani. This is the pasuk that Rabbeinu started off with in the secret that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has formed me backwards and forwards, meaning to say HaKadosh Baruch Hu has created me with two different kochos. V'tashas alai kapecha. And only then did HaKadosh Baruch Hu place his palm kavyachol upon the human being and lowered them in size. Zokt Rabbi Nachman, Al tikri kapecha, ela kafecha, hainu yud gematria chaf. Incredible what Rabbeinu is doing here. He's saying, Medrash Chazal says that Adam HaRishon says, I was created backwards and forwards. I was created with these two tendencies within myself, Zachar and Nekeva, functioning and dysfunctioning, things moving smoothly and things going backwards. And the goal is to connect the smooth motion of myself within the unsmooth difficulties of my life, to connect to the Chochmah and the Malchus, to connect Yud with Malchus. And Yud is spelled out as 20, which is the secret of Kaf. So Rabbi Nachman is reading the Maimer Chazal. It says that Achav v'kadem sartani HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you created me backwards and forwards with these two elements. V'tashas alai kapecha, and you placed your palm upon me. But Rabbi Nachman is saying, don't read it as you placed your palm upon me in order to diminish me. Ela kapecha, you gave me your oschaf. What's the oschaf? That's the gematria of Yud. Meaning to say, Hashem, you created me in a split way with Achor v'kedem. And how am I going to function? When you put your kapecha on me, when I'm able to draw down the Yud Vav Daled, which is the gematria of 20, which is the gematria of Chaf, that's when I'm able to draw the Chachma down to illuminate my experience, to illuminate this world. But if I just take the Daled alone without the Yud, I take the Malchus and the Lokasei there and the dysfunction without attaching it back up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when I start trying to serve myself and I start trying to force the Malchus into my own terms and conditions, and I become frustrated and angry, etc., etc., then everything is turned around. And what happens when the Yud is turned around? When the Yud Vav Daled of Chachma is turned around and it becomes Lo Kaseder, it becomes the Daled Vav Yud, which is Davai, which is sadness and despondency. Kolayom Davai, like we say in Eicha. Meyud nasa davai, from the secret of Chachma that gives vitality to all things. Instead, I find Churban because everything I attach myself to reminds me more and more about my disconnection from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And this is the pasuk, V'chol levav davai. And every heart is in a state of pain, which is the reversal of the Yud when I can't draw Chachma into Malchus. Ki keshahoylech la'adam shalo keseder. When a person is functioning in this world, and this happens in each and every moment of a person's life, when a person is functioning in this world, shalo keseder, when things are not going the way that they thought, or things are not the way that they assumed they were, ze lo machlas halev. This is the sickness of the heart. The sickness of the heart, the pain of the heart, the disease of the heart is when life is not going the way that we expected it to go. It causes us stress. Stress is when I feel that reality is not going in accordance with the way that I expect it to go. And the only thing that I could do to try and manipulate reality, because I'm in no control, I can lose my mind internally, which is stress, which is the cause of a heart illness on a literal level. So the stress over things not going the way that I want them to go, this causes machlas leiv, kamoshakosov techeles mimushacha. When a person looks at their life, and we're honest with ourselves, and we can admit that, wow, things are out of order. Things are not going well. I'm stuck in the malchus of it all. I can't draw the kaseder into it. Yeda sheyesh lo godless. The reason is because you're still holding yourself to be something. You haven't been mevatel yourself yet. You haven't come to terms with the fact that the only way that anything will go the way that it's meant to go is when I get out of the way and I allow HaKadosh Baruch Hu to take the wheel. When I let go and I let God, that is when the bittul takes place. That is when the yud is nimshach to the dalid. And if I'm stuck in a shalok seder, that means I'm still stuck in an ana emloch because I'm still trying to gain control over the circumstances. Hainu ana emloch, that means I will be king. So what should a person do? Yaset shuva v'yashbilas atzmo. Person should return and they should come to terms with their smallness. Again, not I'm so bad, I'm so bad, I'm so bad. But Hashem, you're so big, you're so big, you're so big, you're infinite, I'm nothing. I'm nothing. And that's where the bittul comes from. And this is the bechina of ma, this is the secret of the Shem Havaya Dama, this is the chokhmah, this is the keseder. And when that happens, I'm mashpil myself. Like the pasuk says, "V'nachnu ma," the light of Moshe Rabbeinu Raya Mahemnu came to terms with drawing Chochmah down into Malchus in the secret of V'nachnu ma. V'azai, and then nachzir Chava l'bechinas Adam. We're not ignoring Chava. We're not ignoring Shaloka Seder. That would be too easy. It would be too easy to live in transcendence. Adraba ipcha mistabra. Dir betachtonim. The tachlis is to attach ourselves to Chachma within each and everything, so that I could be mala that thing back up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the secret of Nachas, and the secret of the engraving. The tachlis is to be mala Chava in the secret of Eishes Chayla Teres Baila. I bring that place of Shaloka Seder back up to the Bechina of Adam, to the Bechina of Ma, to the Bechina of Chachma and Bittul, V'nasa Keseder. And that which was Loka Seder, that which was out of order, is suddenly transformed into something that is orderly. Haini Achor V'kedem. And that's the revelation of the fullness of the individual, which is backwards and forwards, Adam and Chava. Adam Ubehema Toshias Hashem. Chachma and Malchus. That's the secret of Kapecha Hainu Yud, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us an Eitzah, and he placed his palm Kavyachol on us, but it says don't read it as the palm, but it's the Chaf, because the Chaf is the Yud, and it's the secret of Bittul. Chav, are you with me? This, I didn't realize, but it's amazing. I guess because Rabbi Nachman was giving this Torah over on Parshas Kitzeitze, so it's obviously also going to be fundamentally connected to Elul. V'ikr hatshuva, when's the main time of Bittul? When's the main time of attaching myself to the Chachma Shebechol Davar in order to draw down the Chayas of Chachma into that empty thing that feels Shaloka Seder? The main time for that is Tshuva, is Elul. Kihem Yimei Ratzon, it's a time of will and desire. It's a time where the Yud Gimel Midas Arachamim are Neskala. Sha'ala Moshe L'kabel Luchos Achronos, this is when Moshe Rabbeinu went up in that state of post-trauma Kavyachol in order to receive the Torah again. Not Moshe Rabbeinu's post-trauma, the world's post-trauma. The Pasach derech kvusha leilechbo. And what Moshe Rabbeinu did at that time is he went upwards to receive new luchos, and he opened up a path of Yeshua and Rachamim and Tshuva for the individual to try again, to connect that which had broken apart. The letters that had fallen out of order as a result of the broken luchos rishonos had now been able to find a new orientation. V'haderech she'asa Moshe hukach. And what did Moshe do? How do we be like Moshe? The entire Likkutei Moharan is on a certain level a book of how to be like Moshe, of how to live a little bit like Moshe and uncover the Nekuda of Moshe within ourselves. V'haderech she'asa Moshe hukach. She'Moshe kasher etz atzmo afilu lepachos she'b'Yisrael u'masar nafsho aleihem. K'moshe kasuv v'im ayin macheni na. The secret of Moshe Rabbeinu was the secret of Bittul. The secret of Moshe Rabbeinu was the secret of Avos Yisrael, of the Nekuda Tova in each and every yid, and the recognition that Nishmas Yisrael is a singular thing, and that to do a favor for another yid is literally the biggest thing that I can possibly do, because I see hidden within each and every yid a nitzutz of Elikus Kavyachol that reveals that they are the tzaddik, that they are far greater than I can ever be, not because of my chalishos or my shiflus, but because I identify with the Nekuda of Kedusha in them, and I'm amazed by it. I can see the Nekuda of Moshe Rabbeinu in another Yid. It's much harder to see the Nekuda of Moshe Rabbeinu within oneself. That's why it's specifically when Reish Pei Beis talks about finding Nekudos Tovos, Rabbeinu starts by talking about being another person, being Megala Nekudos Tovos on another person. And only then, once we learn about that secret, then we can learn about how to be Megala Nekudos Tovos within ourselves. But the job of Moshe Rabbeinu, the job of being a tzaddik, the job of Bittul, is being mamlich lavercha alecha, recognizing the greatness of your friend, recognizing that they're chelek elokai mimal mamish, recognizing that they're shliach mimala. Every word that a friend says to you, every word that a person that you encounter says to you is a direct shlichus melamal if a person is listening properly. As Rabbeinu says, you want to hear the condition of the Shekhinah, go to the shuk and listen to the chatter secondarily, and you'll tap into what's taking place. Masar nafsham aleim, he gave themselves for Klal Yisrael. He was willing to say, Hashem, erase me from your Torah. In this week's Parsha also, we see Moshe Rabbeinu's Petira and the Zohar HaKadosh in this week. It's all about the Maila of Moshe Rabbeinu, drawing Moshe Rabbeinu into Eretz Yisrael. This is the secret, Zeh Perish V'yakel Moshe. V'yakel Moshe is Moshe gathered everybody around through the Das of Moshe, which is the secret of collecting everything together, which is the Kibbutz HaGadol, which is the secret of Rosh Hashanah, of everything gathering together around the singular point of the Tzaddik. That Moshe Rabbeinu connected himself to each and every chelik of Nishmas Yisrael, and he was Moser Nefesh for them, and that's how he was mantik the capacity of drawing down new luchos. even with the lowest of the low, with the katnish shabakatnis, because it's no different than the godless shabagadless. V'zeh perish, and this is the secret of the pasuk. Kulam sag yachtav. Everybody gathers together. Sag, in accordance with Torah Vav, is the lower yud of the aleph, which is the first stage of tshuva, which is yidom v'yishtok, of the chirik, of being mevata myself through the bizyonos, of realizing that Rabbeinu Shloim, I have nothing. I am no better than anybody, not because I'm bad or worse, but because there but for the grace of you goes anything. Chen chen. That's all that exists. That's the chirik. That's the nakuda of kulam sag yachtav. Because the aleph, Rabbeinu says, is the secret of derech, hanoisim biyam derech, and it's the ratz of v'shov. Im esek shamayim sham'ata va'atziga sha'ol henacha. Im Asek Shemayim, the upper yud, you're there. Im Asek is Gematria Kuf Samech Aleph, which is the Milui of Shem Havaya, which represents the loftiest heights that we can get to. Ve'atziga Sha'ol Heinecha. Ve'atziga is Lashon Sag with a Samech Gimel, and that's the Shem Havaya, B'Milui Aleph and Yud, which is Yud Vav Dalet, Hey Yud, Vav Aleph Vav, and Hey Yud, which is the Gematria of 63, which represents the lower level of tshuva, of recognizing my powerlessness, specifically in the face of seeing the greatness of others. And this is the secret. The bittul of Moshe is kulam sag yachtav. Everything was moved aside. Afilu kisha'ani roa echad me Yisrael shesag mikol v'kol me HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Even when I see, says Moshe Rabbeinu, says each of us, even when I see a yid who has completely and fundamentally, theoretically removed themselves from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and also when we see ourselves in this way, when we see ourselves as having completely removed ourselves. Afal pikein, nevertheless, tzarich ani shenihiye yachtav, I need to unify myself with this person. Tzarich liyachid l'kasher imo. I need to connect myself to the pachush b'psuchim. That's the secret of the tzaddikim. Kamosha asa Moshe, just as Moshe Rabbeinu did. Kama mechurat, how ugly is this thing? Lecha la'uman asher asani. Go to Uman and you see how beautiful that ugly thing actually is. There is godliness, and we saw this again, Baruch Hashem, we're choosing the right Torahs, that there's godliness found even in the lowest place. Even in that place of k'voidi la'achar lo yitain, like we saw in Torah Yud Beis, even in those makomos hamitunafos, those impure places, palaces of fiendish forces. L'kayim umalchuso b'chol mashala. Why does Hashem reveal Himself there? In order to be megalech chvoid malchuso. Malchuso b'chol mashala. You think there's something that can block my kingship, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Not even the opposite of my kingship can block my kingship. I am the opposite of my kingship, says Hashem. Malchuso b'chol mashala. L'kayim v'zeh b'chinas chirik, and this is the aspect of the chirik. This is the aspect of that nekuda, that lower yud, which is the chirik, of making myself small, of minimizing myself to that nakuda katana, of the yid, the os yud, like the pasuk says. Ubechirik la'anchasa lo letata, lahamlich lo al tatoy. Not the pasuk, it's in Tikkun Zohar. That the secret of the chirik, the nakuda of the chirik, la'anchasa lo letata, it's to crown HaKadosh Baruch Hu down here in this place of smallness, lahamlich lo al tatoyin, to see the lowliness of each and every person and to recognize that bittul muchletes, I have nothing, Hashem. All that exists is you. The chayas of the Shem Havaya b'milei alfin, nachnu ma, emuna, ma. I don't know what it is, but that's the way I attach myself to the secret of Adam. And then it becomes an Adam Yoshev ala kisei. Nimtza, says Rabbeinu, shebepachos me Yisrael, even in the lowest individual, yish bo bevadei eza elukus. Vada, there's some element of godliness there, and that godliness is the element of the Nekuda Tova. And through this, then I can be like Moshe Rabbeinu and attach myself to that person in that place because I identify with the Nekuda of Elikus, which causes me to be Mavata myself, Lepachos HaPsuchim. And this is the secret of Kulam Sag Yachtav. Everybody comes together specifically by way of the Chirik, specifically by way of the Sag Yachtav. With me, Chevra? Let's go weiter. This bechina also belonged to Moshe. Moshe had this bechina. There was another thing that Moshe Rabbeinu did, other than being mavatal himself completely to every yid. Ki kol masha ala lamala yoter eliona. The more and more that Moshe Rabbeinu ascended on high, Matza Sham Elokim. He found HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He came to realize his limitation. That Moshe went up to Elokim. What we see in the physical world. There's a person down here who's suffering. There's a person down here who's struggling in impoverishment of spirit, of self. And what happens then is a person works on trying to understand Hashem and coming to recognize Hashem. And when a person ascends on high, when a person becomes rich again in their minds, he forgets about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So first, meaning the Eitzah that Rabbeinu is giving here is fundamentally rooted in Torah Vav. The first Eitzah is to be the lower Yud, the Chirik, Kulam Sag Yachtav. The Shem Havai of Sag, which is the secret of being Mavata myself, to find you in the lowest places. The upper Yud is even when I asek Shamayim, when I ascend upwards to Shamayim, Sham Ata, I still find you there, to recognize that I'm still not at the top. I'm still not at the top. And that's the secret of Moshe Rabbeinu. Typically, Rabbeinu says, when a person ascends upwards, or they become rich in their minds, they forget about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But David HaMelech said, Im asek Shamayim Sham Ata. If I ascend upwards in Shamayim, that's where you are. Afilu b'Shamayim sham yesh HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Even when I'm winning, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is there. Even when I'm winning, I'm in a state of bittul. Because the win and the loss are both just expressions of the Chachma of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when I recognize that, it's a Meisek Shamayim Shamata, and that upper Yud, Va'atziga Sholei Necha. Afilu b'Shamayim sham yesh HaKadosh Baruch Hu. B'chol aliyah va'aliyah. In every ascent, every step forward that I take, Sarach Limsa Sham HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I have to ensure that I find the HaKadosh Baruch Hu there. I have to be mavata myself legamre, and to reveal that the bittul is as true when I'm doing really well as it is when I'm doing really poorly. Umatzinu, and we find she'elisha acher alol rakia al yedei shem. After Elisha went up to Shemayim through the utilization of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name, Elisha ben Avua, like we learned about in Torah Nun Aleph, with regards to Keshetigiu la'avnei shayesh Torah al tamru mayim mayim, Elisha ben Avua was the one who said mayim mayim. So we see that you can be a tzaddik and go up to Shemayim utilizing the names of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but at the same point, va'afal pikein kafar be'ikr. At the same point, you can deny the most fundamental piece of what it means to be a yid. Va'adavar tamua. How could it be? Ki adarabba. The matter should be the opposite. The more that a person grows and the more that a person goes upwards, we're certainly getting closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're certainly operating keseder. All goodness is elokus, and elokus is above. And the more that I go above, the more I connect myself to elokus and keseder. And theoretically, I should do well there. When I'm connected to Hashem, I'm connected to good. We see the opposite. People forget that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in charge of the Hatzlacha as well. When a person finds great success in anything, a person thinks, I've reached the ceiling. I'm God now. Ana emloch. I'm Paro. But what a person has to understand is that this element of forgetting about HaKadosh Baruch Hu when I feel that I've grown, attaching myself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu when I'm in hell, but forgetting about him in Gan Eden, and thinking that I've completed something, this is the element of v'tachena einav meros. This is a blinding of the eyes where a person can't see properly anymore, where a person forgets the bittul that is necessary at every shlav, above and below. Like the kever of Moshe Rabbeinu, those who were above, it appeared it was below. Those who were below, it appeared that they were above. The tikkun of Moshe, the lower yud, is to reveal to those who are below that they're above, and to reveal the upper yud, which is that those who are above are truly below, and the secret of there's perpetual growth. The more a person climbs higher and connects themselves to the light of godliness, the light has the capacity of blinding me. The light has the capacity of damaging my ability to remember the secret of bittul. Like a person who's staring straight at the sun, or hashemesh mazik le'enav, the light of the sun can damage the eyes. Aval yesh bechina segel, but there's the bechina of the segel. So we saw the lower yud, the first darg of Moshe Rabbeinu was the chirik, that tiny bittul. And over here, remembering HaKadosh Baruch Hu when we're winning is the secret of the segel, of the two dots on top and the dot underneath. Kamosha Kasuv, like it says in the Tikkunim, the segel kad ihi bein treyin droyin de malka. The segel, my orientation to becoming smaller and remembering Hashem, Not becoming bigger and remembering Hashem like I have to do at the bottom, but becoming smaller and remembering Hashem is when I'm still in the state of Ahva and Yira. I have trained joy in the Malka. This is the aspect that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to ensure that he's going to place his Yud, he's going to place his Bittul upon us. Had Moshe Rabbeinu not had the protection from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which revealed that he had to be mevatel himself even in that lofty place, then Moshe Rabbeinu would have been blinded by that light and not been able to draw it back down below into the lower Yud, which is the secret of Moshe, which is the secret of being Mechaber Seder and Shaloka Seder. Tshuva is not forgetting about Shaloka Seder. Tshuva is connecting the Shaloka Seder to a Seder. Like the pasuk says, nobody can see me and live. And it's only when Moshe Rabbeinu came to the realization that Ra'isi Asachoyre, that I'm only going to see the backside of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that he had the ability to live and draw it back down. Bikesh David. This is what David Malka Mashiach asked for. Va'acher kavod tikacheni, tikarveni behiskavra shel Moshe. Allow me to connect to myself, to you, like Moshe connected to you. And the secret of the connection of David and Moshe, of Moshe and Mashiach, of being above and below at once. Shebikesh mimcha, harini nas kodecha. Moshe Rabbeinu on the one hand asked to see everything, which is the upper yud. The harisalo is achore kvodecha, which is the lower yud. Kamosha kasav eshachosi varisi asachorai, which is the secret of being aware that it's achar v'kedem. So let's finish up the Torah, Chevra. And when things are going for a person in an out of order way, when they're connected to the nukva, to the tashrak, to the yeshus, to the backwards nature of malchus, zeu hisnagdus aratzon. When I'm functioning in this way, everything in life is going against my desire. Everything in life is causing a resentment. Everything in life is causing me a frustration. More expectations, more resentments. Expectations come from a place of loka seder, where I think I'm king and things should go the way I want, which is the sickness of the heart and the stress. And everything goes against my will, and therefore everything becomes the enemy. Ani rotza shiyakein hadavar v'hadavar lehepech shaloka seder. I want things to be one way, and suddenly the world is showing me that no, it's the opposite way. The traumas of everyday life. V'zeh bechinas milchama, and this is the battle. This is the war. This is the war, the battle that the Mesil Sharm says a person is thrown into in every moment of their lives. He called milchama hu esnagdus haratzon, because every war, every battle is the encounter with something that pushes back against my will, that pushes back against the self-will run riot, and forces me to acknowledge that I'm not the center. That's the milchama, shu b'chinas shaloka seder, when things go out of order. And this, says Rabbeinu, brings us back to the pasuk of our parsha. Ki teitzei lemilchama. When a person goes out into war, when a person finds themselves in a state of battle, when things are going in the opposite way of how I feel things should be going, when life is not giving me what I want. This is the element of hisnagdus haratzon. I am functioning in a way that is diametrically opposed to the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and therefore I am stuck in my own self-will run riot, which is ana emloch. So what has to happen? V'nasnu Hashem lekecha biyadcha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu places something in my hands. She'yabatel kol haratzonos neged ritzoncha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us an eitzah to be mevatel ourselves to His hand. What's yadcha? Kapecha, the yud vav daled, the bittul of chachma. When I'm makasha myself to the bittul of chachma, at that point everything is mahapech into keseder. Hashem gives an eitzah of how to align all of our will that is struggling, and how to transform it, that my will should be done because I transform my will into the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And how? Masai, kad v'shavisa shivyo. When I return that which has been captured, when I bring out that which has been captured. Kishatia b'chinas ma. The way to transform the lo keseder in keseder is shavisa shivyo, is to return in tshuva, which is the secret of ma. To draw down godliness into my life. Havaya b'milay alfin, yud vav daled, hey aleph vav hey aleph. The secret of bittul. V'zeh perish machshava. This is the secret of machshava, what it means to be a thinking person. Choshev ma, to think of bittul, to connect my mind to the ikar nekuda of yud, which is the bittul b'tachlis that is illuminating Malchus herself. Ukeshetakasher tamid b'machshavtecha elukuso. When a person perpetually ensures that within their kaloka seder, they are connecting their mind to the das of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'zeh bechinas, and this is the aspect of melech asur b'rehatim. This is the secret of what the Tikkun Zohar describes based on the pasuk in Shir Hashirim as a king who is chained up in chains. What does it mean a king is chained up in chains? It means Hashem is the king who's chained up where? Where is Hashem chained up? Birihite moichin. In the chains of my mind, in the tefillin of the mind. V'zeu v'shavisa shivyo. This is the secret of returning that which has been captured. Shetam shechma b'toch machshavasecha. That I'm drawing down the bittul of HaKadosh Baruch Hu into my mind to see the order within the chaos, to remind myself that with bittul, all of the seeming chaos dissipates because now it's Ratzon Hashem. I attach my mind to godliness. He called davar shenimshach mimakom gavoa nikra shevi. Because anything that comes from a very lofty place is called shevi. Alisa Lamarim v'Shivisa Shevi. Moshe Rabbeinu goes up and retrieves the neshama of Moshe of Rashbi. Shevi is for something that is very precious. Shivisa Shivyo, I return the most precious thing into my mind, which is the secret of being mavatam my ratzon to the ratzon of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Kamei like the pasuk says, Alisa Lamarim v'Shivisa Shevi. V'al yidei zeh, and through this yispatul kol milchamos. When a person is mavatal themselves and they connect themselves to the seichel shel b'chol davar, and to the Likkutei of Chachma, and to the Bittul Muchletes, and to the Chachma, and the Shem Havaya b'milei Alfin that expresses itself in Teferes, all of the Milchamos, all of the Hisnagdus Haratzon is going to be negated, because at this point, I'm no longer operating in a place where, in accordance with the amount of expectations I have, so too will be my resentments, but rather I'm functioning in the secret of with more serenity comes more, with more acceptance comes more serenity. V'zeu soid hanimraz be'etz chayim. And this is the secret that's hinted to in Eitz Chaim, b'hakdama klal yutes, and the klal yutes, u'bekavana shel rosh chodesh elul, and that is the language of Rabbeinu. And so, Be'ezras Hashem, there's no better eitzah towards tshuva than this Torah, which is attaching myself to the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and relearning Torah Aleph. Torah Pei Beis and Tinyana reminds me that I have to go back and learn Torah Aleph again to attach myself to the Seichel Shebechol Davar, to the Bittul Muchletes, to the reality that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was, is, and will be. And in that place, anything, whether it's going keneged my ratzon, with my ratzon, I have no ratzon. I have no ratzon. My only ratzon is your ratzon, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's higalena, it's to be megala kvod shemayim. And in that sense, a person, wherever they are, they have the ability of drawing down the seder into the loka seder. And Rabbi Nassan has Gevaldik Lashonos here. The goal is not to get rid of Shaloka Seder. Adarabah, every moment of Lo Seder is just a furthering of the revelation of how powerful Keseder is. Because I could draw the Yud down to wherever I am, even into Malchus of Malchus, and I can reveal the secret of Kedusha from that place as well, and go from the bottom back all the way up to the top to a place that's even higher than where I started. Be'ezras Hashem.